I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the Pink, symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor at WeissGroup.com. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Sean, a lot of action in silver, or is silver something we should be watching closely?
Silver is something we should be watching closely because silver just hit a 2-year low. I mean, it looks awful. Now, personally, I think this is where bottoms are formed, but silver is now selling off harder than gold is. Gold is still holding the support from like 2 weeks ago when some of us think it actually bottomed. We could be wrong on that one, too. Silver, though, is really selling off hard. It's due to a couple things. One is that, this trade war situation seems to be getting worse, at least between the U.S. and China. And silver is an industrial metal as well as being a precious metal. And so, it has some pressure from that. And then, frankly, there are other places, and I think we'll talk about one of them today, where you can really make money. And in silver, you just haven't been able to make money all year. So people are throwing up their hands, and they are just selling, and they are exiting. Again, this is often where bottoms are formed because the sentiment is so bearish, it's crazy. But at least for now, the bears seem to hold the upper hand.
When you have big sell-offs like that, does that mean there's a great buying opportunity for those who think the prices have bottomed?
In the past, it has meant this. That doesn't mean, of course, that the past has to repeat, but while the past doesn't repeat, it often rhymes. So we'll have to see right here. Now, this huge sell-off is happening against a background of a tightening global supply-demand picture for silver. Even though we have less investment demand, which is what we're seeing now, supplies are also being squeezed as well. So, again, it's really a sentiment-driven thing going on here. And that could snap back rather quickly the other way.
Silver is an industrial metal. Is there just continuing demand for it because you use it in every computer and smartphone?
Every computer, every smartphone used in all sorts of chemical stuff. It's used in solar panels. It's used all over the place. And so, yeah, especially in the solar industry, we keep seeing demand ramping up. Now, they become more efficient every year in how they use silver. And so the amount of silver per panel has really gone down. But they keep producing more and more solar panels. In fact, we are seeing Chinese solar power manufacturers crank up production right now because even though prices of the panels are going lower, they think they can win the race to the bottom and outperform everybody at a cheaper price. So that's going to be more demand for the solar panels. So, yeah, that looks bullish from that aspect. We're just not seeing it reflected in the market now.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the Pink, symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Vatic Ventures Corp. is a potash exploration company focused on the Korat Basin in Thailand, the world's largest undeveloped potash resource. Vatic's management has extensive potash exploration and development experience in Thailand. Vatic will have marketing advantage compared to Western producers. Drill program commences this spring. Vatic trades on the TSX Venture, symbol VCV, and on Frankfurt, symbol V8V2. Visit our website, vaticventures.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, Canada is a month and a bit away from releasing legal marijuana. What's that doing to marijuana stocks?
That means that investors are catching marijuana fever. I can tell you, I am really enjoying what's happening in my portfolios now with the cannabis stocks. They're doing great, especially those with exposure to Canada. There is a real difference. Now, I think that we are seeing signs of life in the U.S.-based stocks, and their day will come, especially as the November elections close in on us, because the general consensus is after the November elections, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is going to get the heave-ho. And he's one of the major anti-cannabis forces in Washington, D.C. So that should perk up that market. But for now, north of the border, things look excellent. There are stocks that are really taking off. Many of them got beaten down when that big sell-off we had for most of the year. And so, they're really starting to pick up. And there's more and more, let's say, projections for how cannabis sales will go. And in the Canadian market, people are saying things are looking more and more bullish because it'll really be the first big market with legalized recreational activity. Now, you can get to a point, like we have in Oregon right now, where too much cannabis is produced and the price just plummets. That's what they're experiencing in Oregon because they've had overproduction. But at least in Canada, at least in the short term, it doesn't look like that. So it's quite bullish for all sorts of stocks. And I would say people should step back and look for those stocks that they really won't be affected by the price of cannabis per se. They deal in other issues, whether they're selling CBD oil, whether they're doing big marketing for other companies, stuff like that. Those are the ones that can continue to run even after this short-term temporary rush is over. So people should cast a wide net and find those stocks that can continue to do this stuff and not just be growers. Not that owning growers is bad right now. In fact, many of those, like for example, my subscribers own Canopy Growth, and that thing was up 14% today. So, there's a lot going on in this space, and you can do pretty well.
Does the fact that a lot of liquor manufacturers are now merging or acquiring marijuana companies also show there's a long-term future to this?
Yes, that is definitely showing that the big money's going to roll in and snap up many of these large producers and other companies that give the big booze companies an access to this market. They're the gateways to a whole other market. Now, we both know that even after October 17th, Canada won't have legal edibles. That's not in the law. You guys have that was passed. But I expect they'll address that next year. And so you'll see buying and positioning ahead of that. And so there's a lot of money to be made there too.
And of course, people will be making their own edibles, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know how complicated it is. It's not like I'm a grower and doing that right now. But for most people, you could make your own beer. Do you make your own beer, or do you head down to the store and you just pick some up? You head down to the store. That's what you do. It's just easier. And so that's what we'll see in the markets generally.
At first, too, they're not going to allow the manufacturers to market brands or to have snazzy packages like they do in California, where there's TV ads showing giggling people all over the place. Do you see ads becoming part of this in the future? Just like in Canada, we didn't have liquor ads for several years.
Yeah, but you do have liquor ads now.
Yes, we do. Even hard liquor.
Right. Why shouldn't they? What is the difference? Why can't they do that? You can make a case that marijuana is less harmful for you than hard liquor. So why shouldn't that happen? So yeah, I think we could see something along those lines.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of Powerband Solutions. Powerband is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. Powerband Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX and on the OTCQB symbol PWWBF and on Frankfurt symbol 1ZB. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're talking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, is NAFTA politically necessary to the U.S.? President Trump sending out a tweet today saying it wasn't necessary to have a deal with Canada.
Yeah, that's what he says. A lot of people are thinking he's just waving a big stick around. I mean, it would be shooting ourselves in the foot not to have a deal with Canada. That said, I don't know if you've been reading the excerpts from the new book that's coming out about him, written by Bob Woodward, but he does a lot of things that are not logical and that really frustrate those people working for him. I don't mean just the people running around the office. I mean his like cabinet members. They are extremely frustrated, and he does things which really flies in the face of what they consider good logical sense. So we can't rule out that he will do something to really dump the deal with Canada. I would hope that he doesn't. And we'll just have to see how that goes. I think that's one reason why the market's having a hard time this week and had a hard time at the end of last week, is that people are starting to think, well, he has the deal with Mexico. He might declare victory and just call it a day. But the much better deal for everyone, the U.S. as well as Canada, would be if he actually makes a deal with Canada too.
A lot of governors who have who govern states right on the border with Canada are really concerned because so much of their trade is directly tied with Canada, and if Canadians aren't happy, they won't trade with them. Is that a concern?
Yes, that's a concern. And beyond that, our trade war with China is also escalating. There's a lot of Western states that get a lot of money from China. So it isn't just Canada, by the way. You have to understand this. We have complex trade problems that could get a lot worse because of the hard line in this. So, it's kind of a scary situation. Again, I believe this is one thing that's really weighing on the market right now. That said, we all know this can change with the next tweet, so I wouldn't be too ultra bearish. I would just take this for what it is, know that it can change the next time someone talks nice to him, and I am kind of hoping that's the way it'll work out.
Has crude oil topped out for the year?
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know that on Tuesday, boy, it looked really bearish. Now, you have to understand there are really, right now, we are seeing historic extremes with the commercial traders right now, and so that might be one reason why. And also, but on the other side, I mean, I would point out that Schlumberger just came out and it says that all the huge production we're seeing from the shale oil fields is not sustainable. They say that we'll have a drop off in that pretty soon. And if they're right, if Schlumberger is right, and they should know what they're talking about, right? So if they're right, then that would be supportive of oil prices. But what Schlumberger says is that so far in the third quarter, the hydraulic fracturing market has already softened significantly more than we expected, in spite of the overall rig count holding up relatively well. So there are disconnects in this market, but we saw a big run-up in the price of oil, especially as that weather system brewed out in the Atlantic. Now it's heading into the Gulf of Mexico. Historically, as storms head toward the oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico, there's a sell-off anyway because so much nervousness was priced in, as the storm formed. It just kind of sells off because people know it won't be that bad. So I think that this is really kind of weather-related and also sentiment-related with how one-sided the market is now. But so it'll take some time to work this off. So this is a long roundabout way to get to the answer to your question, which is I don't think we're at the high of the year, but we're at a short-term high now. We've seen a short-term peak. So we'll see things pull back and see how things work out that way and see how low it goes. Where oil finds its next support will be very illuminating for traders, because if it doesn't pull back much and then starts to head higher again, that means that there's really an underlying bid here for this. If it really pulls back hard and doesn't find support, that tells you that this kind of whole fluctuating thing could actually last longer.
Is uranium still hot stuff?
Yes. Boy, is uranium hot stuff. Now, we are seeing some stocks take a break, and that's fine. They've had tremendous runs. This is good. We need them to cool off a bit because there are many of them that we didn't get to buy the first time, and so if they cool off a bit, that's fine. But yes, the trend in uranium, in the spot price, not the contract price, which isn't wiggling much, but the spot price, it had a great week last week. And so, looking at this thing, I hope uranium stocks pull back a bit more. We'll see what happens. But that underlying bid in the spot price of uranium, Cameco's out there trying to buy some right now, and they aren't finding a lot of sources. That, for them, must be a worrying situation. They're going to have to raise their bids. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, that is one area of the market, which, along with cannabis, that I'm extremely bullish on.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks. I had a great time.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor, WeissGroup.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.